Welcome back. This is sheet number 7. As you can see, it is a very important sheet because it details a lot. It details the windows, it details the door and the door frame for each exit and entrance, the two main doors, exterior doors. It details the wall structures and also the arrangement of the bolts that secure the struts. That arrangement is also detailed here. 4 bolts each at each location, straight through, securing each strut, and that's to be repeated in every arc, every attachment points, every rank, and every arc. It's to be duplicated exactly. And it also details how the outer layers, outside panels, the exterior panels are to be secured to each location, to each brace triangle, using deck screws, adequately sized alloy deck screws. So there's a lot going on, so we'll break it down here, starting with the scale. This is what we're viewing, the side. This is a brief description of the units used, as I discussed in earlier videos. Of course, we're using imperial units as well as metric. So first I detail the windows as I designed them, as they are designed just right now. It's a little bit of a complex design. I may want to simplify it some because of this outward or spreading out faces from the center. They're not straight out, which are easily built. They are at an angle, spreading out. So this distance right here, from here to here, is smaller or less than this distance from there to there. And that is a distance I need to dimension here. Very important. So yes, there are a few dimensions missing. Of course, these are to scale, so you can easily find these with your architectural scale rule. And again, this is the scale right here that matches exactly everything here. This window size is exactly the same size as these, as looked at from another angle. But I will go ahead and include these dimensions and any other dimension that may be missing. That is the window. As you can see, the window is designed as of right now to be an entire piece without any moving parts. This in the center is basically the window pane, which is supposed to be made of plexiglass, which is this right here, this square section. This rectangle here represents this cut right here. It's a curved cut. This curvature here follows the curvature of the dome, where the window is to be installed. This right here, this curvature, this curvature, and again it's to be bonded straight onto the overlay. This overlay strip, this 4" by 1" overlay strip, is supposed to hold that window in place via cement or some sort of adhesive sealant, high strength, high durability. And of course it will be sealed around the top and bottom into these right here, these belts. A bit more difficult to do, but however it is quite feasible to do so, to seal that. And these top and bottom also follow the curvature as shown here. So it is a little bit of a complex structure there to manufacture, perhaps costly and difficult and not easily sourced. So I will probably have to modify this. There are also slots that need to be inserted or added here, especially in the top. Maybe one slot on each side, and one slot on each side here, vertical, and on top horizontal, mainly for air, or for just airflow to enter the structure, and for to eliminate the need to have to open the window. They are going to be slots to minimize the amount of dust and water that could leak in through there. If I put the slots here and here, then this cover right here will pretty much eliminate any kind of water leakage. Again, this is an entire piece, whether it's made with molds or manufactured and bonded together, fused together, or bonded together via sealants. That is the choice and option that will remain open for the builder. As you can see, dimensions there, it's a quite large surface for a window, 3 foot 10 inches, or almost 11 inches, almost 4 feet, and almost 5.5 feet high, 5'4". So not an insignificant structure there, and there are going to be several of those, I believe about 4 if I'm not mistaken. So moving on to the next detail, again I have shown how these are going to be secured. This may change, but as of right now I have this long bolt or long screw going through and into the center column, center pillar, through each one of these struts. Again, that may change, and add brackets. I have detailed how to secure this top strut with this one, and it appears that it's going to be with 3 bolts as described here. I also have described how to secure these belts to the triangle. This is a triangle brace. It appears a screw is going through it and into the triangle. Of course, these are pre-drilled to prevent any cracking, any kind of splitting. Same here. And screws here securing the panels. This represents here the panels. I may have to improve these views, these details with hatching, maybe dull out, or make these a lot more transparent, so they're not so this is not so crowded and confusing. But it appears that there's two screws here holding the inner panel and two screws holding the this is not the inner panel, this is the overlay. Two screws holding the overlay, and then two more screws holding the inner panel, the outside exterior panels. So overlay held by these two, outside panels held by these two, and this is going to repeat over and over at each one of these triangle locations. And I will show another view of that, and I believe I do here on this side. These need help, these need work. But as you can see, there's a screw there and a screw on the other side. It's supposed to be on each side of the line. This needs work. This line is a bit thick. So you can see the attachment points, 6 or 3 on each side for each panel. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and that is the pattern. That's for the panels. It's a bit different for the, is similar for the overlays. For these right here, you would be also 2 screws, one here, 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 one here. And that is how you fasten those and secure those. It appears that there is a long screw right there, just like there is one here, and all that does is hold that belt. This belt right here, there's 4x1. It is held in place into that triangle and into the strut via this long screw. Again, those are deck screws, all of them, alloy deck screws, and I recommend them be deck screws for because they are more durable, they are easier to work with, they are more reliable as far as inserting and extracting, and it enhances and improves not only construction but also demolition if needed. So the triangles, I detailed each array or each rank of triangles, which is an array, every rank, and I ranked it by alphabetical order in letters, A, B, C, and so on, starting from the top. So if you see rank A triangles are shown here, these are rank A triangles right here. Again, these things are uniquely dimensioned by rank, so every rank has unique dimensions, as you can see here. And these are the triangles for, again, for rank A, rank B, rank C. So these will have to be manufactured, cut, following these dimensions for each rank. Made of thick, made of 2.54 centimeters thick, high density composite. And I go by around the structure and describe some of the features. Like this feature here is a 1x4. This is a 1x4 wood belt to be installed between the strut braces and fastened with adequate sized alloy deck screws and long-term adhesive sealant. I am talking about this wood belt and how it will be installed and fastened. The next thing I'm describing is the overlay strips, which again are these, represented here with the dark gray lines here, attached by these two. And here I put attach overlay strips and exterior panels with adequate sized alloy deck screws, again pre-bored to prevent splitting and cracking at each strut brace location and other locations as required. So I'm talking about both the overlay and the panels, how they are to be attached. Of course, the overlay will be attached first and the panel second. I'm describing here this cut, this slit in the last or bottom strut, very important, because this is the strut that will fit into these wooden belts that will hold the structure very much together and in shape. So that's why this needs to be a high density material, such as composite or high density wood, because look how thin this side is. Although this side will not should not experience much loads at all, it is this side right here that will experience the outward force of this belt. Some, not much, because remember, there are bolts here that hold that belt in place as well. So even that side won't experience much, if any at all, pressure or force outward. That is pretty much so it can nicely fit into this. As you can see here, it is fitted. Each one of those struts, it's fitted into those belts. It's a double stacked belt. And again, these are 1 inch and 1/8 thick These slots are 1.125 thick by 12 inches to insert the circumference wooden belts and are to be applied to all lower members as shown. Lower strut members. This is a work in progress here, a representation, a depiction of the very outer layer, or the very outer coat that the structure will have, and it will be a watertight, UV resistant, flexible wrapping film or spray on film for outer layer. Apply 2 layers. Film is to be adhesive. I need to fix that typo. To itself, and apply spray on adhesive to entire panel array and allow to partially dry before applying the second film. Need to add second. Methodically cut window and door voids to allow film to cover void frame. So it is giving you even a method to, if you do apply a film, how to apply it so it can cover the voids of the windows, which of course will not be installed until after the coat is installed, or the film. So you should leave, when built, enough material, cut enough material methodically to wrap around the frame of the window, and then once that is installed, then the window is to be installed on top of that. That is the plan. Again, this is a description of the panels and how they are to be attached. There is to be no overlap between the panels. As designed, they're supposed to fit snugly right next to each other. May be quite difficult for manufacturing purposes. There will need to be a lot of adjustment, a lot of shaving and cutting, perhaps with every single panel. But that is just the nature of building this type of exotic structure. Again, this is a description of some of the other layers, such as the paneling attached to strut overlay strips. And there it describes some of the other structures and features. Moving on to the door frame. This is the size of the door. Each individual door, there is going to be a double door on each, the entrance and the exit. They are to be 5'9" in width. This is the latest version of it. It used to be a bit bigger, but I did modify it just prior to printing this. And the door height is to be 7 foot from center top to center bottom. This height, of course, is not going to be that. This height could be determined, but I believe it to be less than 6 foot, because this distance here is 1'7" from this point to that point. So from this point to this point, I believe it to be 5 foot and 6 inches, 5 foot 5 inches. Because 1 foot 7 will give it that 7 foot height. Excuse me, 6 foot 5 inches. No, 5 foot 5 inches. I'm correct. So 5 foot 5 inches plus 1 foot 7 inches should equal 7 feet exactly. So nicely sized, I believe, for the average person, which is less than 6 feet. And distance from very top to the center of those door handles is given here there about 4 feet. Also, the dimensions for that door frame is given here in detail. This distance here between this, the door frame, and the edge of the wall, the outside wall, is given. Of course, there will be a platform here. This is where the ramp begins. Total distance of the top width of the door frame. And of course, this distance here is given for the arc. And some of the features are described here. Like right here is the top of the floorboard, or this is the floor surface, and this is supposed to sit right on that. Again, the door frame is a pre-manufactured extruded alloy to be installed as one member on top of the floorboards and attached. The doors are to be attached on the inside edge with inward swing, meaning that the doors will swing inward. And that is all for sheet 7. Thank you very much. We'll discuss sheet 8 next.